What's up YouTube, this is Paul from Mickey Tech Tips, and today we're going to be talking about my thoughts of the Google I/O keynote that they just did today, so I guess let's get started. Google had the Google I/O conference that they do every year, except this time it was in Mountain View, California, the Google headquarters, the Google headquarters, and this is the home of Google. So, and they do this every year, and so they announce recently it's been mobile products and just other interesting stuff that's like machine learning and stuff, and they just report on different stuff. And it's a developer conference they do for a couple of days, and like the biggest thing is the keynote that starts out the conference. And so they announced some good stuff today. And so the first thing that they announced was they were talking about the voice assistant and just the Google Assistant in general, which debuted on Android 4.1 Jelly Bean. And it is called Google Now. And that's your Google Assistant. Then later on, in 2013, they announced the original Model X, which had the always on with the OK Google Now functionality, which eventually went to all Androids at some point in time. In fact, that's like my favorite feature on my Droid Turbo 2 now. And so today, guess what they announced? So they mentioned how Amazon had a great idea, and so that meant that they had launched Google Home. It's an Amazon Alexa competitor. It'll be able to control your lights, your TV, and all this other neat, your speakers, and all this other neat stuff from the device, and other Google Homes, and you'll be able to play music and all that. It's really neat. They showed it interacting with everything from your phone all the way down to your lights and all that, and eventually probably your Google, your Android Auto too. But so they announced that. Then the second thing they announced was it was two Android apps, Duo and Allo. Duo is a video chat app that's encrypted and is like no other. It was a really great app. I thought the demo was really great. I don't know else how to explain it, but Allo is a smart machine learning text messaging app that's based off your cell phone number. So it's not based off of like a Google account or anything in the past like Hangouts has done before. Because I know that can be confusing sometimes. So it's based off your phone number. It had some really neat features. I can't wait for that to come out. And then speaking of Android, they went on to Android N. So basically, Android N, they still have not picked the name yet, because this is kind of hard because it starts with an N. So you can go to a website and submit your ideas and all that good stuff. They also talked about some new features. So like Samsung has the multitasking with the two windows on the phone. Well, they finally brought that to Android natively, so you can do that natively on Android. They had some Vulkan API engines, so that means some of these games will run faster than OpenGL, and that does not mean you can bring your Vulkan-based games over to Android. That just means it uses the same engine as it does on PC, which provides some better experience. They also had a few other little things that improve on Android N and whatnot. And they also talked about Google VR. They got a new platform now. Forget the name of it. Crap. Oh well. But it's a new platform. It's going to be on Android N. They're going to have smart compatible phones. They got a remote. They have a design for a headset. And it's going to be basically a native Samsung Gear VR, but for Android. It looked really neat. It had a home screen, everything. What I was disappointed though is that it was no dedicated device. You're still using your phone on there. But they're going to have ready devices that support it because it's going to have extra sensors. And I kind of wish I thought of the name before I recorded this. Oh well, it'll be down in the description below. But anyway, as I was saying though, they did that, and they had a few little neat features, and they also talked about Android Instant Apps, where it'll let you send like a link to something inside of an app, and then they can pull up and download the code that's needed just to view that part from the app, like a video or something, which will be supported from Jelly Bean on and up. But getting back to N looks really neat. I can't wait to see it, but the problem is, this would be the first time, and I think, yeah, it's been in 4 years almost. Actually, it'd be first time in 3 years, my bad, that I will not be able to use the new Android on launch. Because in the past, I've used the Nexus 7 and then later on my original Moto X to get Android on launch all the way from 4.3 Jelly Bean all the way up to Marshmallow. Well, I no longer have the Nexus 7 because the charging port broke and it wasn't worth me fixing it. That's a different story. And also, even if they didn't support it, I could still use a third-party developer because the Nexus 7 is still popular in the Android community. Hold on, I got something in my... And so people are going to do unofficial ports, which would be almost just as good because I've used Cyanogen mod and all that good stuff before. And I kind of bricked it after I didn't break the charging port. The charging port broke, so I couldn't get back in the computer to fix it. But anyway, so I recycled it, but it's going to be disappointing not to be able to use it because what's interesting is Motorola said ever since the original Moto X came out that they would have the new Android on the phone as soon as possible. They only did that with the Moto X. Then when it came around for the Lollipop upgrade, it was almost a complete year after. So by the time they released the Lollipop upgrade, it was like a week before Marshmallow was released. So that meant by then, the phone hasn't gotten an update within over I would say almost 2 years. Actually, yeah, it would be almost 2 years. Because that was like a year after Lollipop came out. And so that meant by then a lot of people probably upgraded their phone because that Moto X came out in August. So that meant some people didn't even get to experience Lollipop on that phone. Then the Droid Turbo 2, I got the Marshmallow update a couple months after the phone came out. Even though the phone came out when Marshmallow did, I guess they didn't work with Google in order to support it at launch. And then there's been some other phones that have taken a while to release updates. So I don't know. I might have to end up going to buy a Android, like a Nexus device, in order to test out some of these features, or like run some kind of virtual machine from the Android 86 project people. Then they talked about a few other little things. They talked about Android Wear and how it's more independent now because you don't have to have your phone and stuff. If you forget it or if you have one of LTE. They talked about a whole bunch of other cool stuff. They talked about machine learning and all that good stuff. The only thing I was disappointed was, you guys remember that leak a couple of weeks ago where they showed the Android apps on Chromebook? They did not talk about that at all. And that kind of ticked me off because I wanted to see something about it. But they didn't talk about it, so I guess we might be seeing that later or we may not ever see it. So that kind of disappointed me. They showed a bunch of neat stuff. It was a 2-hour presentation. Android N looks promising. I can't wait to see more of it. Other than that, I honestly think they've done a good job, Google has. They're trying to integrate voice assistant, and I think that's great because Google's like 17 years old now, and like it's common now that people use Google. For example, I use it on my phone, computer, iPad, and I use it on my TV with the Chromecast. So Google's in the house constantly, and it's just going to be more and more. I can't wait to see what else they announce this year, but for now, for just a 2-hour keynote, it was okay. So I'm glad to be back. I should be uploading at least once a week for the next couple months, at least, because I got some great ideas. So remember to like, comment down below, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.